Hey friends, Mark Holmes here, getting ready for my live stream coming up at 9 o'clock Eastern. Be sure to tune in because, well, we're waiting as Cowboy fans and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for the Cowboys to do something in free agency. But what we've learned is the Dallas Cowboys, they're not a player the first week. At least they haven't been since 2012. Now, we all have been on the Earl Thomas watch. We know Earl Thomas is looking for about $14 million. The Cowboys want about 8 to 10. But Tyrann Mathieu has now signed. He's been pried away from the Texans, who had offered him about $9.5 million for $42 million over 3 years. Yeah, that's right. So that's that $14 million range that Earl Thomas wants. $14 million. Now, I will say this much. The longer it goes, the more chance the Dallas Cowboys have to work out a deal. That's just my gut feeling. But let's go to NFL Network and see what Jane Slater has to say.
Here in Frisco, I've been running down rumors and whispers of Earl Thomas coming to the Cowboys since he very publicly went up to head coach Jason Garrett outside of the locker room and said, "Come and get me if you got the chance." Well, the Cowboys have tried in earnest to try and get that done, but his number has always been a little too high. I'm told he's looking at about $14 million a year, more than what Eric Berry got with Kansas City, and about on par with what Landon Collins just got with the Redskins. But the Cowboys aren't interested unless he comes down from that number, somewhere closer to $8 to $10 million a year.
Now, this is a curious one here, fellas, because at the end of the regular season, if you would have said, who's a match to go where? We probably would have said, well, Nick Foles, if he's off of Philadelphia, going to Jacksonville, that's happening. The other one we would say was Earl Thomas to the Dallas Cowboys. Seemed like a natural fit. Now it seems like it's a hard road.
Yeah, I think Earl Thomas was playing the desperate boyfriend role just a little too much. You know, when you're a chubby offensive lineman like you and I, we understand what desperate's like, but when you're a good-looking safety, you can't put all your cards out there. You got to play the leverage game a little bit. Right now, he's just been begging the Cowboys to pick him up, and so they know they can just wait on him.
I think with Earl, it's not about talent. Like, he plays like the Tasmanian Devils. What defense wouldn't be better with a guy like him playing center field out there? But I think there's two things that factor into a scheme, because you want to play a single high safety with Earl Thomas because he can do so much. He's got such great range. But I think the other factor is he hasn't played a 16-game season in 3 years. So can he stay healthy? That's going to be a big factor when you look at the contract with the guaranteed money and what it's going to be per year. So we know he wants to go to Dallas. I would say that a guy like Richard Sherman, look, we're seeing a lot of players politicking for other players. Come play with me. I could see him joining up with the 49ers with Richard Sherman and getting to play his former team twice a year, which to me that would be a great fit for him.
Interesting. I would say this though too. You heard Jane say the numbers there, and yet just today things have changed with that monster of a deal that safety Landon Collins landed. Earl Thomas has a high opinion of himself and his skills, rightly so. He might want even more now.
Right, but then that's where the age comes into it. He'll be 30 at the start of this season.
I'm not saying he's get the same contract.
Landon Collins is younger. I mean, look, as a player, we don't want to think about that, but it's definitely a factor.
Well, that's a good question, is how much is money going to play a factor for him? Or does he just want to go to Dallas so bad? Or does he want to play with Richard Sherman? That's going to play into it. He's made a lot of money early on in his career already, so it doesn't have to be solely a money-based decision where he ends up.
He could take less money from Dallas because there's no state income tax. So there you go.
There you go.
There's a win.
Which factors in? You have Florida, Texas teams,
Tennessee,
no state income tax. Joe's going to rattle them off.
North Dakota, he can play there. Alaska, they get a dividend actually.
Wants to hear right now.
Delaware, what's that?
One thing no player has to hear right now as a free agent is take less money.
Yeah, exactly. NFL.com talent evaluator.
Okay, so now here's an interesting thing. Richard Sherman has been trying to get him to come to San Francisco, but you haven't heard anything from the brass about setting up any meetings and things. So as you start to see these safeties fall, I don't know. The longer it goes, friends, I'm telling you, the longer it goes, the better chance that Dallas has to get them. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, one other thing I will note in there, that one of the teams that was trying to get him last year was Kansas City. And when Kansas City signed that big contract with Tyrann Mathieu, look for Eric Berry to possibly be cut as well. It's going to get interesting before it's all over with. I'll see you guys at 9 o'clock Eastern on our live stream on the Jobu Sports Report. I'll see you there.